Good evening, and a very warm welcome to every single one of you. Thank you so much for being here. Today is day 4 of this 7-day live stream, FB live stream challenge. And today I brought this topic, which is, 5 steps to overcome this requirement to have an external validation. The reason I picked up this topic is because this is something which has come up again and again with multiple people that I have worked with. So let me ask you this question: how many of you have experienced that every once in a while you end up seeking validation from others? It could be from people in positions of authority, like your boss or like your client, or could be your spouse, it could be your a parent figure. Okay, but sometimes we even seeking validation from people who are not authority figures, like our children, or juniors or team members, neighbors. Okay, if any of you have experienced this, write me in the chat box. So let me admit that I am one of those people who have experienced this, and I used to experience this a lot in the earlier days, and I've done quite a bit of work on myself. And I'm going to share with you some of the steps that I've personally used, and it has helped me a lot. Okay. So if you're here live watching this, write hashtag live in the chat box, so I know that you're here with me. And I'm also going to be checking the comments. So go ahead, keep responding. Okay, great. So let me jump right in to the first one, the first step. And first, let's look at why do we experience this need to be validated, right? One of the reasons why we experience this need to be validated by others, I'm just going to sorry, I just had a quick, yeah. So one of the reasons why we have this requirement, and many of us experience this. Okay, I think good 99% of human beings experience this every once in a while, and some of us experience it a lot of the time. So one of the main reasons we do this is because human beings are designed to be community beings, where we want to belong to a community, we want to belong to a group. And for that, we need to know that other people like us and accept us. Okay, so one of the biggest fears that human beings have is of being isolated, right? And that is why we're constantly looking and seeking validation. Hey Krishna, nice to have you here. So that's the first thing to understand. So the first thing that you want to remind yourself is that even if you find yourself seeking validation, that doesn't make you small, that doesn't make you any less, that doesn't make you inferior. And this point is very, very important. Okay, because sometimes what happens is when we are feeling this way, we start beating ourselves up. It's very important that you don't do that. Okay, that's in fact one of the main steps, the fundamentals of you being able to get out of that feeling. Okay, so let's jump into the first step. The first step is to start acknowledging every single achievement and improvement that you have every single day, which means at the end of the day. So for most people who work with me, I advise that one of the practices that they should inculcate as part of their daily lives, and they're part of their either night routine or morning routine, is to have a gratitude practice, where you write down at least 10 things that you're grateful for throughout the day. And initially it feels a little difficult to come up with 10 things, especially when you're feeling a little low, right? But as you continue this practice, you realize that there are a lot of things that each of us can be grateful for. Now, what you can do is, if you already have this as a practice in your life, continue that. But along with that, add this little additional thing, where every day you will think of and identify 3 things that you want to acknowledge and appreciate yourself for. No, again, as you start this process, initially you may find it a little difficult to think of what it is, but as you continue this practice and you don't let yourself off the hook. Okay, so don't think, oh no, I'm not grateful to myself for anything. No, don't do that. Right, it could be that you woke up on time, you woke up at regular time. It would have been easier for you to sleep in, but you didn't, you woke up on time. Or that you cooked food even when you did not feel like it. Or that you completed and sent out a report even when you didn't feel like it. Or you made a call with a client, and you did certain things, which was a necessary part of it, and it may have been easier for you not to do it. Or you helped somebody, or you watered the plants. Pick up absolutely anything which is a win. Okay, and the thing is that most of us get into the habit of not even acknowledging our wins as wins. Okay, not even acknowledging the things that we do. If somebody else did that for us, we'll be like, wow, you're that's great work done. But when it comes to ourselves, we have a tendency to dismiss it. So that's the first thing. Start acknowledging yourself. So like I said earlier, one of the reasons we experience this feeling of wanting validation from others is when we have not received much validation for most of our lives. Okay, and this could be a result of even as children when we have received very little validation from our inner circle. So it could be parent figures, it could be teachers, other people. When we haven't had enough of that, and unfortunately, a large part of the society believes that it's you should only find what a person is doing wrong and let them know so that they can correct it. There is no energy spent on really helping validating the child. And if you are a parent, remember that use every opportunity that you get to let your child know that they are loved, that they are worthy, that they're capable, that you admire them, that you love them. Okay, it's so important. It's not, no matter how many times you tell them, it's not enough. So take every opportunity to tell your child that. And even if you're an adult, okay, and you have a partner, you have a parent, you have whoever with you, make sure that you use the opportunities to tell them that as well. So, one of the reasons we end up feeling this way is because we may not have had enough of this kind of a positive energy coming our way, where we had people telling us that they love us, right? So we need to start filling in that gap which is there by ourselves to start with. Okay, that is acknowledging your own achievements and your own small wins on a daily basis at the end of the day, and you will start noticing how much you are getting done. That's the first point. The second step is, a lot of times, let me ask you this question. How many of you have experienced that when somebody gives you a compliment or appreciates you or acknowledges you for something, you start feeling a little awkward or embarrassed and you try to change the subject, or you try to say that, oh, it's not me, somebody else did it, oh, it was so easy, oh, there's nothing to it. How many of you have done something like this? Give me a smiley in the chat box if you have done this, where you are almost deflecting away any compliment or appreciation that comes your way. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for acknowledging that. Not an easy thing to acknowledge. Yeah, let me acknowledge that for myself. I've done that a lot, where I would find it very. I liked it. I liked the fact that people were acknowledging and appreciating me, but I also did not know how to deal with it. So the thing I knew was to just deflect it. So the second step is never deflect a compliment, acknowledgement, or appreciation. Okay. While you're tempted to do that, pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and absorb it. Accept the compliment or the appreciation that is coming your way and let that soak in. Okay. So when they're saying this, look at them, smile at them, and say, hey, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. If it really means a lot to me, acknowledge it. It means a lot to me. You may need a little bit of practice with this, but get into it. Start practicing it. Thank you very much. That means a lot to me. Or something like, I've never thought of it that way. Now that you're mentioning it, I realize that yes, I did put in quite a bit of work into this. Yeah. And thank you so much for reminding me that about that. And thank you so much for acknowledging and appreciating me for that. That means a lot to me. Yeah, and that makes me feel so good because these statements that I'm sharing with you now are the truths. Okay, so make sure that you use every opportunity to absorb any acknowledgement and appreciation that comes your way, because slowly and steadily what you want to do is you want to make these experiences the reference point to who you are, to your identity. Okay, so this is a very, very powerful practice. Get into it starting now. No matter who's giving you that appreciation, whether it's a child, whether it's an adult, whether it's a dog looking at you lovingly, yeah, go ahead, accept it, right? Now, the third step is surround yourself with people who appreciate you and cheer you. Okay, people who want you to win, people who want you to succeed, people who want you to do well in life. uh, Sometimes what happens is we are living with our day in and day out. We may be living in with somebody who is not necessarily used to giving us compliments or not used to acknowledging or saying anything very positive. Oftentimes we may have family members or loved ones who have a tendency to find things that can be criticized or say things which are not very positive or find faults with what we are doing. Now, it is not practically possible for any of us to sit and change another person. It's hard enough to change ourselves. To try and change another person, don't even try. But what we want to do, the other day I was speaking to somebody and I was saying this, that your environment is more powerful than your willpower. Okay, so if you are living with people who are constantly criticizing you, finding faults with you, then it can be very hard. No matter how hard you try, automatically you will go into this place of not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy enough, and hence looking for validation. So what do? Do you change your residence? If that is possible, you can. But on a that's on a lighter note. But on a more practical note, it's like this: when you're staying with just one or two people who are generally very critical in nature, it's almost like you are living in this pond, okay, and all the water in the pond is dirty. Okay, so no matter what you do, no matter how clean you try to keep yourself, it is a dirty water and you cannot keep yourself clean. But how about if you kept adding clean water to this? Okay, so how do you do that? You do that by making sure that you make connections with people who have a more positive tendency, who see good things in you, who appreciate you, who acknowledge you, who cheer you, who want you to do things, right? And so these could be friends that you keep in touch with on a regular basis. These could be that you are part of communities and groups where people are all working towards growing themselves and making themselves better. So you have this group of people who are constantly cheering you and lifting you up. Okay, so don't get into this space, because I hear this a lot. Oh, but what can I do, my family is like this. Okay, now you are not a tree. You're not rooted to a place. And as to say that, what can I do, you can do a lot of things. Join some physical exercise classes, join some groups or communities. It could be virtual groups, it could be physical groups, right? So if you cannot change the environment around you, which is there all the time, you can go into environments which are different, which are more cheering, which are more encouraging. Okay, and when you spend more of your time there, and when you start forming a group of people who give you this sense that there's a lot about you which is worthy of being appreciated, worthy of being acknowledged, slowly that will seep into you as well. Okay, so this is a super important point. The third one, which is surround yourself with people who encourage you and cheer you. Yeah, who are your cheerleaders. Okay, now by the way, this is very different from surrounding yourself with people who flatter you. Okay, so don't get me wrong. So this is not about, if you are in a position of power, surround yourself with people who only flatter you and say nice things about you in front of you but say bad things about you behind your back. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who genuinely like you. Yeah, so that's the third one. The fourth one, now this fourth one is something that I personally wasn't even aware of, is that every time there is a win. Okay, like let's say you're working towards a goal. The goal could be that you want to be a great speaker. The goal could be that you want to finish reading 10 books in the next 6 months. It could be that you want to get a certain percentage grade, you want to probably get promoted, whatever it is, right? Whatever your goal is, there are, along the way, there are going to be certain milestones that you achieve. So, or you may have said that, I want to achieve this much of revenue, and you said that I want to generate, let's say, 10 lakh revenue. Don't wait till you generate all the 10 lakhs to celebrate it. Okay, put a little milestones there, and along the way, whenever you have a win, okay, maybe you earned your first 1 lakh, maybe you earned your first 50,000, maybe you got your first interview when you have been looking for that job which is your dream job, maybe you got a first invite for some kind of a chat show. Okay, whatever it is, whenever you have these wins, make sure that you celebrate those wins, like make it a little bit of an occasion. Okay, you celebrate, you can actually go out with friends or family to have dinner. Make it a very special occasion. Talk about what has happened. Talk about how you've been looking forward to this, and it feels so good that this has been achieved. Because sometimes what happens is, we achieve things but we don't acknowledge them and we don't celebrate them. So when we think back about our lives, we only remember all the painful experiences, all the difficult experiences, all the not so nice experiences, and we forget about all the other experiences of achievement, of successes that we have had, of the capabilities, places where our capabilities got displayed or demonstrated. So make sure, and this is one big difference with people who have a success mindset and who go on to achieve success, versus people who want to succeed but don't have the right mindset to succeed. Because this one difference is a big one. So a lot of times what happens is, oh, this is just too small for me to celebrate. Yeah. But whenever there is a small mistake as well, that gets a lot of beating, gets a lot of attention. And when you pay attention to anything with a certain intensity of emotion, that gets impressed in your mind, your brain, and your body, right? So if you pay attention to every small mistake that you make and think about it and beat yourself and feel bad about it, it gets impressed, and that you start making that a part of your identity. On the other hand, when you start acknowledging the things, even the small wins that you have, you make it a little bit of an occasion, you celebrate it, you share it with other people, you start making that a part of your identity. Okay. So it's really not about what is happening in your life. It is about what are the things in your life that you're giving attention to. So give attention to those things that fit with your goals. Okay. So that's the fourth step. Celebrate every big and small win. If you're watching me live, type hashtag live in the chat box. And if you are watching a replay, type hashtag replay in the chat box. Okay. And if you are going to celebrate every win that you have from today onwards, type celebrate in the chat box. Okay. Because you are worthy of being celebrated. You're worthy of love, you're worthy of respect, and nobody in this world has a right to disrespect you, not even you. Okay. Great. So that brings us to the last step. Okay. The last step of how you can stop seeking validation from people on the outside. And the fifth step is practicing stillness. Let me say something here. Whenever you have a question, whenever you're feeling confused, most of us have a tendency to seek response answers to it from the outside. Either we are asking somebody, hey, what do you think I should do? I can't make a decision. Or we are checking out Google, or we are going to chat GPT. We're constantly looking for answers from the outside, even when it is in our own areas of expertise. And the reality is that we have 95% of the answers are inside of us. We don't need anybody else to give us the answers, even when it comes to your area of expertise. Yeah. How many of you agree that you really don't give enough time and focus to what you already know to be able to pull out answers? Right? Agree in the chat box if you agree that you could be giving more time and attention to things that you know, and you would be able to come up with more answers, right? So what happens is, when you practice, see, when do you start seeking validation? Is when you're starting to experience this discomfort, starting to feel like you're not good enough, starting to feel like people don't like me, starting to feel like you're getting isolated. So you're looking for somebody to give you the sign that they like you, somebody to give you the sign that you're worthy of their attention, of their liking, and whatever else it is, right? And this is also a result of uh, that discomfort you are experiencing. You are immediately reacting based on that discomfort. Okay. Now, why I say practice stillness is, every night before, you could start with just 5 minutes, where every night, 5 minutes before going to bed, you sit down still on a chair with your spine straight, eyes closed, hands on your thighs, however, whatever comfortable position you have, as far as your back is straight, and bring your attention to your breath. For 5 minutes, keep your attention on your breath, and I promise you that your mind will wander here and there. When you realize that your mind is wandering, you bring it back. Okay, you bring it back, and you bring your attention back to the breath. And your only job is to keep bringing your attention back to your breath. Okay, it's absolutely okay if you find it difficult that in within 5 minutes 500 times your mind has wandered away. Your job is to bring it back 500 times. Now, why do we do this practice? Is because you slowly get into the practice of keeping your attention where you want to. You slowly get into the habit of not giving into impulses. Okay. And this is a very important practice. So what happens over a period of time is, when you start seeking validation, if you're someone who practices stillness, what happens is you become aware that, oh, I'm in this space where I seem to be looking for validation. So you bring your attention back to the inside instead of taking it outside. And you let that feeling pass, because it's not going to stay with you the whole day. You let that feeling pass, okay? Because you know that this too shall pass, okay? And slowly you get better and better at not giving to this need for seeking validation. Okay. If you are able to do these 5 steps, you would see some amazing results. You would see some amazing changes and transitions in yourself. Okay. If you've been finding this valuable, write value in the chat box. Yeah, and thank you once again to all those of you who have been attending this live. And I'll be coming back live tomorrow as well. So tomorrow is a Saturday, and I plan to be live at 9:30 in the evening. So make sure that you're here at 9:30. I will be putting it up on my Facebook page and Facebook group and YouTube, so you will know what the topic is. And by the way, do join my Facebook group. Okay, it's called Productivity and Performance Mastermind. I will share the link of this group. Yeah, so let me share the link of this group. Yes, I can actually share the 5 steps. Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. And okay, yeah. So join this group if you haven't yet, because I'll be providing a lot of value sessions within this group. If you're part of this group, then you will get that. Okay. So the 5 steps that I spoke about. First one was acknowledge every small achievement and every small little success that you have had at the end of. So every night before you go to sleep, think of 3 things that you want to acknowledge yourself for. It could be really small things. Maybe you wanted to shout at somebody, but you stopped yourself from doing that. Maybe you saw somebody who was struggling and you decided to help them. Maybe you didn't feel like exercising, but you went ahead and exercised. Okay, so acknowledge yourself for at least 3 things every night before you go to sleep. The second is, whenever you have any appreciation or compliments coming your way, don't deflect it. Pause, accept the appreciation coming your way, and let that soak in. Okay, thank the person for their appreciation, their acknowledgement, whatever it is. The third is, surround yourself with people who want you to succeed, who encourage you and are your cheerleaders. If you don't yet have people like that, make friends with people who are more positive in nature, and slowly and steadily develop a small group. You don't need a lot of people. You have, even 2 people like that in your life, that's more than enough. So, if you don't have them, develop those relationships in your life. Okay. The fourth one is, celebrate every small and big win that happens on a day-to-day basis. Now, some of you may think that what is the difference between the first one and the fourth one. The first one is, acknowledge yourself for at least 3 things that happen during the day. It may not necessarily be achievement. Now, celebrate every big and small win. So I was saying that you may be aiming to achieve 5 lakhs, and you got your first 50,000, you got your first 10,000, you got your first 5,000. Celebrate it, right? Celebrate it. Every small and big win that comes your way, celebrate it. Last but not the least, practice stillness. Okay, in the form of meditation or whatever else it is, practice stillness. Okay, great. So thank you so much, everybody. Once again, I'm going to be live tomorrow at 9:30 in the evening. Okay, so join me once again, and I look forward to seeing you. And yes, if you're watching this, hashtag replay. If you are watching live, hashtag live. Okay, love you all, and see you tomorrow.